Hi, it's Josie, and today I'd like to talk to you about steering your horse and some things you can do to help him. So by the end of today's video, you'll have 3 quick tips that will help you help your horse to turn. And what are they? Well, basically they all revolve around your position as a rider. Surprise, surprise. Our position on our horse interferes or helps. It's not doing anything else. So you're either interfering with him or you're helping him. So it's worth taking the time to learn the little techniques which actually help your horse. So we've all heard of having your weight on the inside stirrup when you're turning your horse. How do you do that? Well, I used to push and come into a corner and think, yep, I'll get my weight down here and help my horse. Part of the problem with that is if you look what happens when I do that, my weight's actually going that way. So my poor horse is going to fall out. Need to sit up nice and straight and put my weight down my inside stirrup. Now, like everything in horses, it's subtle. So it really is subtlety. So the analogy I give for this one, weighting your inside stirrup on a corner or on a bend, is to think about you're either standing on a surfboard or you're actually standing in a flatbed canoe, and you need to keep the weight in both stirrups so the canoe doesn't flip. When I want to turn, I will put a little tiny bit more weight on my inside stirrup. So now, and I've asked him to come around with just my ring finger. And now I'm getting onto the straight. I'm going to stand straight in both stirrups or on that canoe so it's nice and level. I'm coming into this corner here. I half halt with my little outside rein, little inside leg, and then step slightly to the inside as if I'm turning that flatbed canoe, and again I'm turning it. And now I'm standing on both feet in the canoe, nice and flat. It's very subtle. If you think about how much, if you stepped on a canoe, you'd flip it. That's the tiny amount you need for your horse to feel that you want him to go that way. So if you weight that inside stirrup tiny, give your inside rein just a squeeze, your horse will learn to come around off of that. The other part of getting your weight down that inside stirrup, though, is the fact that your shoulders should follow the bend. So the horse lives on the horizontal plane, we live on the vertical plane. So when he bends, his shoulders are this way and his hips are that way. And your shoulders should correlate to him, and your hips should correlate to the hips of the horse behind to a certain degree. This is subtle, remember. But I personally find that I'm very stiff this way. I can turn this way easy, look at that. It's stiff. You can see I can't get around as far as I can on that side of my horse. So, surprise, surprise, my horse doesn't bend left as well as he bends right. So how can we work on that to help us? This was an awesome exercise that I found, and obviously with the stiffness I just found, then I need to do this a little bit more so you can actually watch me do this. So if you just walk your horse on a 20-metre circle, take your hand, so both reins in one hand, take your hand, touch his hip, bring it back. Touch his hip, actually bring it back to his shoulder. Touch his hip, bring it back to his shoulder. Touch his hip, bring it back to his shoulder. So do that for about half a circle, if not a whole circle, which I'm doing because I'm telling you I can actually feel the stiffness. Then pick up your reins. And now instead of touching back there, all I need to do is think that I'm going to touch there, and I can feel my left shoulder open. I don't know if you can see it, but I can. I'm just thinking back, back, back. And my shoulder opens a little and allows my top body to turn and helps my horse come around. If I'm trying to turn him but I'm facing this way, I can tell you now, I can feel, you can see where he wants to go, that way. So now when I'm coming into the corner here, I can think about turning and touching that hip of the horse, and again straight. Now think about touching the hip of the horse, and that I can truly feel a very big difference there in how my horse wants to turn the corner. Going onto a 20-metre circle, think about touching the hip of the horse. Feeling feisty there, Rebel. Good boy. Indicate with the inside rein, keep my shoulder turned, pardon me, and a tiny bit more weight in that canoe. And now I'm going straight and my shoulders are straight. Now we're coming into the corner, step slightly, turn shoulders, straighten up, weight evenly on both stirrups. Half halt here, turning onto a 20-metre circle, bit of weight to the inside, and turn my shoulders. So the third tip on helping your horse to turn, and one that a lot of people, and even me still to this day, don't always do very well, is to look where you're going. Why is that? Because believe it or not, our head weighs a lot compared to the rest of our body. So if I'm going to turn up the centre line here, I will pick a spot about 5 metres out, eyeball it, look at it, I can see it, I can see it, I can see it, and Rebel just stepped on it. Now I looked at that spot with my head. How does that work? Because our head is very heavy. I'm going to look here at S, and I'm looking at S, and I'm turning him to S, and I'm turning him to S, and we made S, the letter that is. Going to do it again down here. I'm going to turn up the centre line. So the weight of my head actually helps with the weight of my body. I've picked my spot, and I'll tell you when Rebel steps up, we overshot it by about a foot. Poor piloting on my behalf. I'm going to look at B now. Looking at B, asking him to turn. Whoops, if he doesn't trip over. And now I'm looking straight ahead. So those three things will make a very big difference to your horse if you practice them. So in the very beginning, when I was doing this stuff and trying to form habit patterns with it, every single corner that I came into on my arena, I would go, touch the hip, weight down the inside, look where you're going. And that would be a checklist, and I would check it off, check it off, check it off. What happens then is it becomes a habit for you, and you don't have to think about it, and you're building yourself an awesome foundation for your riding in the future. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.